Hello guys, and in this video I'm going to be changing the filter and the DSG oil on my Audi A3. Okay, so it's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Some people prefer to remove the battery box, some people can just get access to the filter which is underneath the battery box just by moving their airbox out of the way. I've got an induction kit, so I'm going to have to remove part of the tubing, but I should be able to just remove the filter and attach the tube, so I'm going to use the top fill method instead of the bottom fill method. After making space in the engine bay here, you can see I just tilted my induction pipe out of the way. Down here is my oil filter housing, my DSG filter, so that's obviously the transmission there, and that's the filter there. So one of the issues, or one of the reasons why they say remove the battery box tray, is because obviously, as you can see, there's not much space there. Once I've put on the 32mm, so just for reference, it's a 28mm socket. I had to put on a universal because obviously there's not enough space for me to ratchet it out. So if you ain't got a universal, you're gonna have to take out your battery tray, which again is a few screws once you remove the battery. I've got a video on my YouTube channel on how to do that, but I think it's 10mm screws, bolts underneath the battery, just holding the tray into place. So vehicles, once you've cracked it loose, with it being plastic, you don't really want to just ratchet it off because you could end up spinning it too much. The torque would end up shredding the threads because it is plastic. So once you've undone it with your ratchet, then just use your hand just to start loosening it off by hand. Once you feel like it's spinning, you then want to get a little rag because it is going to leak a bit obviously when you take it out. But remember, when you take it out slowly and just hold it until you can like see that it's not leaking anymore. It's just a common one, so I'm just going to reuse it, but I've just inspected it. It's not shredded, it fits perfectly, it's not loose or anything, so that's good to go. You can see my DSG filter, so I'm just going to try and remove that very slowly. Just give it a little wiggle and it starts to come out. Remember, there is oil in there, so be very gentle because you don't want that spilling everywhere, otherwise it's just a double clean up job. And I can just remove it. There we go. There we go. So that is the oil filter. You can see it's in the original one, VAG high performance filter. I'm just going to compare that with the one I have before I go tossing it or throwing it. Already, just looking at it, you can see this one's got a lot more just a lot more silver in it compared. This is more plastic based. I don't know whether this is the modern day version. The thing is, I spec'd it up at TPS. They gave me the right product code, product number, part number, whatever. So yeah, I know it's here. It is. It's actually a 40mm Allen. I got this sort of thing, so I had to put it in this little adapter that's going to turn it into a half square drive. So location to the left, yeah, there. So I'm trying to center it, but it's not having it. But that is it there. As you can see, it is a bit rusty, so we'll be cleaning that up. But that is it there. It's a 40mm, so you want to just crack that loose, and then remember, just use your hand with the ratchet just to loosen it up. Okay, so now here under the car, you can see I've got my massive bucket, because obviously there's going to be about 6 or 5.5 to 6 litres coming out, which is kind of the amount you're going to put in. I've cracked it loose with the socket and the 40mm Allen key. So now I'm just going to undo that little bolt by hand. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to undo that bolt there by hand, and then once I've done that, I can quickly pull it out the way, and a little bit of fluid, probably like 500 or a litre, just going to pour out, which is fine before I go taking out. There we go. So that is now dripping out. I've obviously got the sump bolt there along with the washer, and I'm now just going to wait for that to trickle out before I go taking out the snorkel. You want to now get your 8mm, so you can see that nice 8 written on there, 8mm Allen, and that's going to take the snorkel out, which is practically like the sort of level guider for the DSG tranny. So again, it goes in the same hole where the sump plug was, so you put that in, and remember, I think it's just pinch tight, so I don't think we really need a ratchet, but if you do use a ratchet, just crack it loose and undo it with your hand. It's now releasing the rest of the 6 litres. As you can see, there's a fair amount in this big tub here. It's a fair amount, and that is the snorkel. So let me quickly, while it's draining, I'll show you how the snorkel works. It's diagrams for this business. As you can see over there, that's a DSG fluid pan. If there's not enough fluid, it's not going to pour out the snorkel. When it is correct, it's going to stay level, and if there's any that shouldn't be in there, once it's expanded, once it's got up to temperature, it's going to trip out the bottom. Simple. And now I'm just going to stick my snorkel back in. So again, put it in by hand. It's not going to stay in, so obviously you've got to use your 8mm just to push it in and twist it in. So next, now that I've put the snorkel back in, all I'm going to use, I'm going to get my sump back. I'm just going to put it in. No, I'm not doing it super tight because I'm going to have to remove this at some point again to check the amount of oil level sort of thing. So I'm going to put that in now, just hand tight, but I will use a ratchet just to make sure it doesn't fall out, because I'm going to crack the engine on after I fill it up with some oil. Again, very, very important, before you put this on, make sure you have got your washer. So I'll take that back out. Okay, see, I have not got the washer, so I'm going to go and get the washer and put it back on. There it is, there's the washer. I'll put that on before you screw that back on. So that is it, time to fill up. Got 6 litres there, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There we go. So now you can use a tube. So I've got a bit of tube in here that hopefully is going to do the job. I can put a tube over that hole there, because obviously you can go over it. It looks like you have to go in, but it is quite far down, because obviously if you look at the filter, there is a hole for the tube. So there you go. So you see that hole there? There's a tube that goes straight in. So what you can do with this hose in here, you can just put it over it and just use that to kind of like pour the oil straight into the hole, or you can just fill it up. It's entirely up to you, but yeah, 6 litres. Okay, so because I keep it real and I like being honest with you guys, my tubing did not work. So that British gas, whatever it's called, Monarchy, didn't work. So I'm just gonna have to fill up the little filter housing as if it's a cup, and then just wait for the little bit in the middle just to drink it up. So that will probably take about 6 days, but it's cool because I can pull a sickie. So you can see down there where I'm actually pointing the light, that is golden. That is the colour that the DSG oil should be. Another word of advice is say that if the oil is heated, so if you have got a bit of sunlight or some heaters, you can heat the oil up. It does make it go down quicker. So I've stuck some of the other bottles in the sunlight to heat them up a bit, and obviously that might speed up the process. Okay, so now that is done. I've put 6 litres in there. Obviously, as you can see around it, there's quite a bit of like, I don't know, splish splash. So obviously that's going to be cleaned, but I'd advise you, do not clean it yet. Make sure you put your new filter in and the cap before you go cleaning, or any of the debris might end up. Okay, so onto the filter now. As you can see, this is the filter. It is an OEM part. There's a date on it. Yeah, blah blah blah, VWAG. Part number there, in case you're wondering. It can only go in one way. This area is locked, this area isn't, and there's a rubber O-ring washer over there, as you can see. That's the way it goes in. So obviously I'm going to use 2 hands here so I don't get any dirt on the actual filter. Okay, and that's now been pushed in. It did have a little thump, little click when it went in, so I put it in and I was like, is this it? And it was wiggling around a bit. But now I've put this in, if my hand's not too big I can show you. It just spins round, so that helps. Once it's in, you should be able to spin it round, and you can feel that it's actually on that little there you go. Cap's gone back on. 28mm socket will be needed, but I'll put it on. I'll twist it anti-clockwise for a bit until it falls into the right threads. It gets seated, then I'll tighten it clockwise with my hand, and then use the ratchet and tighten it down. The filter hasn't been put back on. Now you can clean around and then just stick everything. So nearly finished. What you want to do now, don't turn the engine on, just flick it to the ignition setting just there. So now with that whole 14, what you're going to do, the 14 needs to get to 35. Once that temperature transmission fluid, gets to 35 degrees, we're going to go under the car and remove the drain plug. So yeah, once you remove the drain plug, it's just going to be a little bit of oil trickling out, and once that oil starts to like slow down, like practically to a drip instead of a trickle, that's when you put it back on. Very simple. Okay, so just in case, don't think I mentioned this, once you know how to operate VCDS, turn your engine on before you do Park, this. Reverse, neutral, drive and sport. So you're going to hold it in each of those gears for 3 seconds. So 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, and then back again, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, all the way to the top. That's what we need to do. When it's 35 degrees, I'm going to rush underneath the car and do what I said I was going to do. Okay, so as you can see here, it is going up. It's nearly at 30. There we go, 34 degrees. So now, with it being at 34 degrees, 35 I'm looking for, but I can now get ready to go under the car and remove it. Just like at the beginning of the video, because this is the video from the beginning, you just remove that bolt, which is the sump plug bolt. That's the only one you remove. Let it drip, let it trickle out, and then once it goes to drip, you stick it back in. And that is it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.